Justice with Judge Mablean will be life because in everything we do, it involves the law. Where's your witness?
In the evidence.
That's hearsay.
It's notarized.
I still say it's hearsay.
She's fair.
You gotta help these young men learn how to do this the right way.
Yes, Your Honor.
She's firm.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
No, I don't
Okay.
need to say anything else.
She's honest.
I'm not your child and I'm not your friend. That's the order of the court. Goodbye.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean.
All rise. Both parties, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Court is now in session with the Honorable Judge Mablean presiding.
Thank you, Will. You may be seated. In the matter of Angela Richardson versus Brendan Fellows, you're suing him for $10,000 for wrongful termination, you think?
Wrongful termination, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Now, you allege that he fired you from your duty as a teacher?
Correct.
Okay, tell me about it.
So I'm a teacher, and I've been teaching for over 10 years. I have also taught in elementary school as a 6th grade teacher, as well as 4th grade, prior to working for Mr. Fellows.
What grade were you teaching for him?
I was teaching high school, so it's a college preparatory school.
9th through 12th?
Correct.
Okay.
So during that time, I have worked with Mr. Fellows for over 2 years, and I actually have a contract that's signed, which I have evidence of, in which I was signed on for another year. When I interviewed with Mr. Fellows, the only thing that was in question was my credentials, and I provided all of that. And there was nothing that stated that I had to be anything but educated in order to have that position.
What was the position?
A history professor, specializing in African American history.
You were teaching 12th grade.
Correct.
History, African American history.
For a year.
For 1 year.
Correct.
And then you got a contract for a 2nd year?
Correct.
And it would still be African American history?
Correct.
And what happened?
There were no complaints. The first year was absolutely amazing. During the time that I interviewed with Mr. Fellows, he basically hired me on the spot. So there was nothing in question about anything, not ethnicity, not saying you need to be a certain level of a racial profile or anything like that. He hired me because of my education, because of my degree, because of my experience, and I did well, and there were no complaints at all. But there was a point in time where in Chicago, my parents were visiting. We were at a cafe, and Mr. Fellows just happened to be there at the same time, and so I introduced him to my family by names, not by ethnicity, not by anything. And then there was another time during that same summer that my parents were still there, and Mr. Fellows saw my parents again, and they are
white, Your Honor.
Caucasian. My father is actually a percentage of black. But after he met my parents, then he wanted to basically bring me into an office and tell me that I'm not qualified to teach because
I did not say
I'm
that,
not
no.
black enough.
No.
Yes, you did. You fired me.
I did not say that.
Okay, it says that you intentionally deceived the administration regarding your background. Specifically, you identified as African American on your employment application and provided misleading accounts of your upbringing to influence your hiring. So how many semesters did she teach?
2.
All right, and then the 3rd semester, you offered her a contract?
Offered her a contract.
For the 3rd semester?
That's correct.
But in between starting that contract, you found out that her heritage was something other than African American?
Well, she checked the box of African American. I specifically had a preference toward African Americans for teaching of this sophomore class. I had a preference. Now, if it didn't happen and we didn't find a candidate, then that was okay. But I had a preference to have these students, these sophomore students, be taught by an African American descent person for the class.
Mm-hmm.
That's not in the contract.
I don't see anything in the contract that says that.
Well, look where it says sophomore. That's the beginning of it. The sophomore, where you saw the part where it's just for the
It
sophomores.
says you're going to teach sophomore African American history.
And I
Right,
have to be
and so
black.
I
That's
had
what
a
it says.
preference. I had a preference.
You didn't say that in the contract.
I had a preference.
You didn't say that in the contract.
Okay, stop it. Okay.
Can I?
You know, you're going to answer my questions because
Okay.
you all are sounding foolish to me. You don't sound like educators at all. You sounded like, little kids.
Yeah.
So, you're saying the preference was for African American. There's nothing in the contract that says preferences to be African American, no racial distinction in the contract. Mm-hmm. So now what is your real problem with her teaching? And why did you terminate her?
Well, my problem was she checked the box of African American.
What box?
I have an exhibit here.
Let me have it, because I don't see a box being checked.
Sure,
I don't see an
sure,
application. And did you know that you can't ask race and creed on applications
It's a private
anymore?
institution, Your Honor.
I don't care if it is private.
It's a private institution.
So you think you're excused?
No,
Oh.
I can ask questions.
Please check the box that best describes your race or ethnicity. And you checked Black or African American.
There was no other.
And then it says,
Well, then you shouldn't have checked that box.
you didn't check other, ma'am. I'm looking at the box now. You said at first you didn't check a box. Now you're saying I checked other.
No, I said I did not check other.
He never said you did.
Okay, I'm saying that I shouldn't have to check anything because it
Okay,
should not be.
that's the issue that we're here to argue about.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
But that's not in the contract that I have to be Black to teach an African American history class when I was educated enough to teach 2
Okay,
semesters.
that's not what he's saying, that you had to be Black to teach African American history. He said that you misidentified yourself on the application, that you were less than honest and less than truthful about your race.
That's not
and
true.
Your racial identity. Now,
so
here's
what do I check? Do I check like my dad is a quarter, so I'm 1/8? Do I make that? Do I
That's
put
not
that
it.
in there? Because that won't be on a birth certificate. And if it was good enough before he met my parents to racially profile me, because that's what he did.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
the purpose of a teacher is to teach the subject. Why is that more important to you than teaching those students?
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Angela Richardson, who is suing Brendan Fellows for wrongful termination.
The interesting thing about this application is that there was a choice that you could say, I choose not to identify myself. And my question to you is, why did you select Black or African American?
Because I closely identify with the Black American community. I've grown up in a Black American community. Me and Mr.
Okay, that's
Fellows,
what you identify with. But
Definitely.
You're an educator, right?
I am an educator.
And you have college degrees behind
a
your name.
bachelor's degree, yes, ma'am.
And you understand that in these United States, that when the question is asked about racial identification, it's based upon your birth certificate identification of your mother and your father.
I understand.
And you recognize on this form that there were several choices that you could have made if you did not want to identify Black or African American or white, Caucasian. You could have just said, right here, it says, I choose not to identify either. And I choose that I can understand that I must be visually identified under federal law. You could have checked that box and then you wouldn't have had to say either.
I do understand that, but during...
So why didn't you check that box?
Because I did not feel like my race would have been anything...
That's your feeling. Why? It's just a question.
Wasn't, because it wasn't in the...
Then why did you choose to say African American if you didn't think that race was a factor?
Because I am. Just because I don't look like it doesn't mean that I'm
not talking about your looks.
Okay, well, it didn't affect the fact that regardless of what I checked, I was already hired. And so I feel like I identify, and I told him that during our interview, and he hired me because not just because I looked Black, because I had information, because I was able to tell him about Black history, because it didn't have to do with what I was, what I checked in a box.
I got you.
I was already hired.
On your opinion. Now, why does it matter so much to you? The year that she taught, the 2 semesters, were you satisfied with her teaching?
Yes.
Was it done well?
Yes.
So what's the big deal?
The big deal is that we teach our students integrity. So if she's not obeying the code of the school, she's code bending. If she's not obeying, how does she convey that to our students so they can convey it? And I have something here, Your Honor.
This is difficult. I understand both parts.
If you
both
look
sides.
under,
It's very difficult.
Number 4, Your Honor. It talks about intentionally
I saw that.
deceiving on your application.
Did you not intentionally deceive me?
I'm talking to the judge right now. I'm talking to the judge right now.
Fellows College Preparatory is an institution founded on the principles of honor, integrity, and honesty.
Do you have integrity to think that I wasn't a good professor during the times that I was, and just because you met my parents? That's not integrity because they're white.
Okay, here it is. Acknowledge that any intentional misrepresentation or deception during the application or employment process is grounds for immediate revocation of the contract.
So I had
And
to
the
put one in.
contract is at will, and you can be terminated at any time. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm torn because of the fact that whether she identifies African American, whether she identifies Caucasian, whether she doesn't identify at all, seems to me that the purpose of a teacher is to teach the subject and to be able to educate the students on the subject matter for which he or she is hired. And you say that she did that, and she did that well. Why is that more important to you than teaching of those students?
Because lying on an application,
It's not a lie.
it is a lie. She intentionally, on her birth certificate, it says what nationality she is.
Have you seen my birth certificate? Have you seen my birth certificate?
It says it on mine.
But I asked you, what did it say on your birth certificate?
Okay, but that.
I asked you, what did it say on your birth certificate?
Okay, well, you know what?
What does it say?
My mom is white.
What does your birth certificate say?
It has.
Does it have mixed? Does it have both parents?
Yes, it does have both parents.
So it shows that you're of
I'm
mixed
Creole.
parentage,
yes,
right?
it does.
So why did you feel it necessary or decide on this particular application not to acknowledge that? Did you
well-
think that you needed to be African American to get the job?
I absolutely did not. That's why.
So
I selected-
why did you do that on this application?
Because I felt like that's where I identify with. I didn't think that I had to check a bunch of boxes. I've never had to check a bunch of boxes to get a job.
You're not telling the truth.
No.
What do you mean?
Just what I said. You've never had to check boxes to get a job. You're not telling
I
the
have
truth
never
in these
had-
United States of America.
I'm saying I've never had to check boxes about
Yes, you have.
about my race to
Yes,
get a
you
job,
have.
not to get a job,
Yes.
not to get a job. I have been hired.
In what part of the world have you not had to do that in these United States of America?
I have checked boxes, and they say it's not about race. You can choose to not.
There is a difference in saying it's not about race.
Coming up,
You can't go down and then lie on your application.
I didn't lie, and integrity is also making sure that your
Again.
students get the best education.
Again.
And there was
No.
a problem, and I've never been let go, and you have my credentials to see that.
you're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Angela Richardson, who is suing Brendan Fellows for wrongful termination.
They always ask you to check boxes,
They do
and they
check
give
boxes.
you choices. As a matter of fact, to get beyond forcing people to choose one race over the other, the United States started giving you the option to say, I choose not to identify, so that we didn't force people and put them into a bag of choosing African American, Black, white, because the world started to change. But it also even gave you another out. You don't have to say it at all. You don't have to choose any. You can say, I choose not to identify. Now, what is more important to you?
Integrity.
More important than the teaching of your students, the subject matter for which she was hired to teach?
You have to have integrity in order to teach. If this is the level that you want to teach at our school I founded, I ran for 10 years. I know everything about my school. We need educators with integrity. And maybe when I first saw Angela, I said, oh, okay, this is what I'd like for her to teach the sophomores. I'd like this. But you can't go down and then lie on your application.
I didn't lie, and integrity is also making sure that your
Again.
students get the best education.
Again,
and there was
No.
a problem with that.
She has
No.
you intentionally.
I did not intentionally. I have always selected that, and it's never been a problem, and I've never been let go. And you have my credentials to see that. And you asked me specifically, not if I was just 100% Black, if I was a quarter Black. You didn't ask to see any of that. I put what I've always put.
I asked what was on your birth certificate.
No,
you
you did
told
not
me
ask
right.
me that, because that's something you did not ask me.
Coming up,
He also asked me on a date, and I said no.
Oh, Your Honor.
He asked me on a date, and I said no, and I just have to make sure that that's clear, because that's what changed everything.
you're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Angela Richardson, who is suing Brendan Fellows for wrongful termination.
Here's my dilemma. The problem is you're an at-will employee,
Yes.
and he can terminate you without giving you any reason whatsoever. So this reason, I think, is a crock of bull, but apparently it has such an effect upon him and the school and what he's looking for in an employee
Can I tell you one
that
thing?
he does not trust.
He also asked me on a date, and I said no.
Oh, Your Honor.
He asked me on a date, and I said no, and I just have to make sure that that's clear because that's what changed everything. If I was able to
Okay.
work for 2
Now,
semesters,
you know what?
Okay.
and I just wanted to make
If
sure
you had
that's clear.
said that at the beginning, that he asked you on a date and that's why he said no, you said, he saw my parents and that's why he said no.
Well, that's
Now-
another reason.
Okay.
Not only
And
did he
in
think I was
your
black, I
defense,
said
when you
no.
were terminated, you could have used that as sexual harassment or something like that when you put it in your papers. But
Yeah,
you never made
I
that
didn't.
allegation
No, I
until
didn't.
now.
I didn't.
And it has no effect on me. It has no impact on me.
Well, I'm
at
sorry,
all.
Judge.
But the only reason I am allowing and agreeing to the termination simply is because of the fact that he doesn't have to give any reason at
Because
all.
it's at will.
The contract is at will, and he could let you go for any reason.
I understand.
So let's say he just let you go because he wanted to let you go. Unfortunately, in at-will contracts, that's the law.
Yes.
It's at will. I will that you go. I don't have to give you a reason. I don't have to state a reason.
But he's given a reason saying that it's integrity, and it's not.
You had the choice, and you understand as an educator when they ask you those questions, why? And the reason that we've changed it so you could give all those different choices is to prevent discrimination based upon race.
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
And I don't believe that this is discrimination based upon race. I believe that this is let go based upon integrity, honor, and trustworthiness. Because if you lied about this, when you had so many choices you could have done, what else would you lie about?
Well, I didn't lie. And what if I had checked Asian? I have Asian in my family. I have Hawaiian in my family. So would that be lying just because it's a quarter or a half
Yes.
or something
We're
like
not
that?
asking for a quarter half. You know, the best way you answer those questions, that's why you have choices. And you're an educator. You know, when you have multiple choice questions, you've taken a lot of tests over the years to get where you are. And you have multiple choice questions. And for multiple choice questions, you have to answer with the one that's most likely and the closest to the choice. On this one is, I choose not to answer. So I don't have to tell you quarter, 1/6, 1/8, 1/15, 1 inch, 1 ounce. You had a multiple choices, and you were able to say none of your business by saying, I choose not to say either.
He knew that, though.
You're not listening to me.
I understand what you're
And
saying.
therefore, I am not going to waste my breath anymore. Judgment for the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
You have now received your ruling. You have one final chance to address each other directly with any final thoughts.
Success in all your endeavors.
That's why I never dated you.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.